Welcome to Expedient Means with Lin Wei on Time Monk Radio. Lin currently resides in China and is the founder and head teacher of Guizhen Philo Cultural Society. He has extensive experience in Buddhist and Taoist meditation, Qigong, martial arts, and traditional Chinese medicine. To learn more about Lin, please visit his website at www.guizhenhui.net. Tonight we were going to be talking about questioning the path, warnings for cultivators of the way.
Oh yeah.
So, welcome back, Lin.
Thank you. Let's give everyone a heads up. My original headset has been destroyed, and in trying to pursue a new headset, I was given the old bait and switch, buying something that said it had a microphone in it, and there was no microphone. It was just the headphones. So now I have my web camera connected to my old headset, hanging off my microphone of the old headset. So if it falls down occasionally, bear with us.
At least I'm not the only one who's plagued by the headset demons.
That's one of the multiple 50s kind of demon states.
It's the 51st one, actually.
There you go.
Sorry. So tonight we're going to talk about, essentially you had wrote a piece a few years back, and we're going to kind of delve into that. And
yes.
Where do you want to start?
Well, it was a long time ago I wrote this piece, warning cultivators to look out for certain things when they're looking for a teacher, or if they're cultivating, or if they're reading books or meeting people who supposedly have certain abilities or whatnot, and things to just be careful of,
Well, there seems to be no shortage of people that are claiming they have abilities. Some seem to be more legitimate than others out there, right?
Sure.
It's a good money-making scheme for a lot of people, right? Because people are power hungry, and it's something that they can market and sell pretty readily. There's always somebody that wants it, right?
Yep. And our cultivation schools are, they're out there like a dime a dozen. You can find someone who has something to sell to somebody else, with some mystical powers being the outcome of what they're doing. It's almost dangerous, You sell someone a good feeling, basically,
Right.
and it's almost like the McDonald's of cultivation, fast food cultivation.
Well, that's the Western way, right? Everybody wants, things quickly and easily, and and I guess maybe you should make a quick statement there. You're in your office today, so people might hear some noises in the background.
You will have many different types of noises, some coming from different realms of different directions.
The like child realm.
The children realm, you'll have the baby realm, you'll have the teacher realm, you have the student realm, all mixed into one. So if you hear a little baby going, ha 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 ha, no, it's not a ghost. It is my son.
All right, well, why don't we, do you want to kick off by maybe talking about some of the false paths or some of the things to look out for?
Yeah, sure. Well, basically, I could have just said that we're in my office, and because I'm doing this show, I have set up a field of energy around the room to let multiple types of realms interact with the one we are currently talking from. So you're going to hear the minions from Despicable Me sounding. You're going to hear children in the background. You're going to hear people running in and out speaking in weird languages, even though it's going to be Chinese, but I can just say it's any language because most people won't know, right? And it's due to my efficacious power and ability, and I can teach you how to do it for $29.99 every month for the next 10 years.
Sounds great. Where do I sign up?
Well, you have schools out there. I'm just kidding on that, everyone, okay? Just in case you catch it late. There's schools of cultivation, or just even groups of people of cultivation who claim to be the one superior. They have condescending mannerism to themselves. To other people and other paths out there. They just talk down everyone else. And theirs is always the best. And we have this in one of the 50 Skanda demon states we spoke about earlier in another discussion.
I think last week, yeah.
Yes, sir. And they are very condescending. They put down everyone else, and they are the best. and you have them all over the place. In every country, there could be 2 or 3 people. They could be groups of millions of people under one specific umbrella organization. And when it comes to people in various countries who don't know about them, they can say anything else they want to anybody and make them feel bad or make them feel, in support for them. And nobody knows the history on that. So one person can come around and say, I can talk to animals, and I can teach you how to talk to animals. And no animals will hurt you ever. But then you go into like a jungle or something and a tiger rips your head off. Why? Because he didn't understand your language. That's what the teachers say. Oh, he doesn't speak English. He speaks African tiger language because you're in the jungles in Africa. I didn't teach you that. I didn't know you were going to Africa,
Yeah, there's always some type of excuse too for when these abilities or whatever don't work, right?
Right, exactly. I always tell my students, if they're looking for abilities, that if you think I have any, you're mistaken. If you do get anything from the stuff that I help you practice, that's pretty cool. Let me know how you did it. And then keep it to yourself if you actually do have something, because this doesn't do anything for anybody else, and that should be. It's like you make your money, you go to work, you're going to get your paycheck. You don't have to worry about it. So number one point here for cultivators out there is to realize that spiritual abilities do not equal wisdom. At all.
I think that's key right there, because a lot of the people that go after or get hooked up with some of these groups and individuals, it's obvious to me right off the bat that they have a very poor understanding of the teachings of Taoism or Buddhism in general, because it's obvious that some of the teachings that these schools propose are off the path, right? They're
well, it may not just be in Buddhist Taoism. It could be in yoga. It could be in other types of religious or cultivation practices as well, that have some type of a special department or area of their practice that requires or has someone attain, quote unquote, some type of a spiritual ability, talking in tongues or automatic writing or channeling, for instance, and stuff like that. Just because someone has an ability doesn't mean that they are doing some magical thing that, makes the atoms in the air and the particles in the air magically change according to their will so they can do something. It's not really like that at all. And just because they can do something in this effect of things that are not normally done by people who are non-cultivators, doesn't mean they know what's up. But it's very more times than not, people who have something a little bit quote unquote extraordinary in society usually end up having their own specific view of the world and philosophy, and teach it as though it is the end all be all method or end all be all a philosophical view on how the world is and how living things are. And people who don't have an ability usually believe them. They go, oh wow, that's pretty cool, I like that.
So, yes, I'm going to go here. What if, say, certain groups teach that, say, vampirizing another life form's energy is a good path for cultivation, or animal sacrifice, or whatever, right? Because there are groups out there, we've seen them.
Wow. I would say walk away. Don't even bother. I would say that too. But yeah, don't even bother. I used this example a long time ago. If an animal wants you to take its life, it would walk up to you, sit there, and literally tell you in such an obvious way that it wants you to destroy it. It wouldn't run away, it wouldn't cry, it wouldn't scream when you're ripping its head off or when you're killing it or sucking its chi out of its body or whatever the hell people think they can do with their energy. But it doesn't happen. It doesn't happen because animals lack a certain type of a wisdom to understand the detachment. They just work off their karmic level, their karmic. Oh man, that word leaves me now. Just the level of the conscious state of their karma. They stay on that, and They don't know the difference between what is wise and what is not unless they have certain parts of their wisdom body, more so than other animals. But mostly they run away when they're getting threatened. Okay, I think most people do that too, unless even the people with the great whatever they consider themselves to be martial skill. They're not going to stand there like they do in the movies, sitting, I will take on 20 of you guys, and I don't mind if I die on top of the pile of your rotting flesh. No, people don't do that now. They either scream like little girls and run away, or they get beat up, or they try to pick up some weapons, and the first chance they get to run away, they run away. I mean, I've seen muscular people run away from people fighting. I mean, really big, taller than me, stronger than me men running away from two people having a scuffle, and hiding behind the glass door on the train. I'm the only one there trying to break up the fight, and here's these big muscular guys running away. So, really, if an animal wants you to kill it and take its essence away, they wouldn't be crying and screaming when you're doing it. They would be happy. You don't have to catch them. They would walk up to you and just be like, okay. But no, that never happens. That will never happen, because if a person does take another animal's essence, which it's a level of things I don't even want to discuss, one, that person who's doing this essence taking, quote unquote, is really causing really bad conditions with that spirit, that animal soul. I mean, right away they're just screwing themselves over. That's demonic shit right there. Excuse my language, it's just demonic. It doesn't matter how good their philosophy sounds. Well, it's just not right.
Yeah, I mean, I would think a more true path. Well, it's a terrible way to phrase it, but let's say the more wholesome path would be more like you giving your energy to the animal, right?
I once crap. Talk about animals wanting you to kill them for them. I had once I requested something to happen in something in my life a long time ago, and this really cool insect appeared in my third, I think it was a 6-story apartment, and they really can't fly that high, but it must have climbed the scale to 6 stories to get into my apartment. It came into my apartment, climbed under the door. It was really cool. I forgot what it's called, a blue-striped horned beetle or something. A really cool-looking beetle. Really awesome. And usually, you don't want to pet those things. But I put my hand out. It walked up to me, crawled on my hand, and just stared at me. And, okay, I like having conversations with animals, whether they reply or not. That's none of anyone's business. So, in this conversation I had with this insect, it says to me, hey, I want... I gave you what you wanted. You gave me a confirmation of certain things. Now you have to give me something I want. I want to be set free. I need to be free. That means, in actual, real, common sense cultivator of the way language, does not mean take my essence. It means let me get off the cycle of birth and death. Okay? So I recite the 3 refuges, the Buddha, the Dharma, and Sangha, recite the Buddha's name, and recite the Great Compassion Mantra. And it looks at me, and it says, thank you. And I put it on the ledge of my terrace, in the middle of the beautiful sunlight hitting the ledge. It was around like 10 o'clock in the morning.
Then you took a fly swatter and smashed him.
You're ruining the story. So I put him on the ledge, then I took a fly swatter and swatted him. No, I put him on the ledge, and he stands up fully charged in the sunlight, and he starts flicking his wings really, really, really fast, and he just lifts off nice and slow like a hovercraft, just lifting up. Then it shoots off really quick right into the air, just spins around, and then slams itself right into the wall and dies. After I did what I did for him, he said, thank you, now I can go. And I put him on the ledge, and he went and crashed into the wall and killed himself. So it was free. But by those means, it was free by the proper method, that he was out of his body. His body was already, he was freed from the karmic conditions of that specific body. And I'm just using this as an example, whether you think it's a story or not, true or not, it's irrelevant. I'm just giving you an idea that animals will not want you to slit its throat for freedom. It doesn't do that. They don't
Right.
do that.
Yeah, and I think there's in the Dhammapada, I think there's various stories of, the Buddha and his incarnation as different animals and how he sacrificed himself in certain scenarios. But anyhow,
Cool.
What about? I know you. This one's really disturbing too, and we've talked about it before. But I'm gonna go there, I guess, because
Human sacrifice.
Well, sort of, but in China, you said there are actually some, I don't know if it's schools or some individuals that eat fetuses.
Yeah, you're quoting it like I'm the one who created this idea.
I didn't know about it until you told me.
That was a dream I had. I'm just kidding. Yeah, there are some people in various parts of the world and here in China as well that they believe you eat a fetus, whether it's an aborted fetus or not. Well, it's not a born fetus. It's either ripped out of the body or it's aborted, which is, cleaner on one aspect of things. But anyway, they'll eat it for the sake of boosting up their yang energies, like a Viagra, basically.
Yang energy? I would have thought it would be yin energy.
Oh, no, they do it for their vigor.
Really?
It's all for that, unborn, the body, pure of all other types of obstructions outside of what the mother ate, and emotionally felt. It's kind of a raw kind of energy for them, and basically we would call them flesh-eating demons, rakshasa ghosts, whatnot, in physical form, eating flesh-eating ghosts, flesh-eating demons. They do it because they think it brings them a higher energy, a higher vigor, more vigor. Their sexual activity is stronger. And these people are 50, 60, 70 years old doing it.
Yeah, that's man, I don't know. Death to me isn't so bad. I don't think
there's I'm going to quote the Supernatural TV show. I love that TV show. I have my reasons I will not speak of now. But there's a thing on there where one of the main characters turns around and says, demons I understand, I get. That's just what they do. But humans, they're just crazy. Because they're demon hunters and they go around looking for all these weird types of monsters or whatever. And demons, they're predictable, and you basically, in an unpredictable way, you know what they're going to be doing, their modus operandi, you know basically how they're going to do things. But humans are like, damn, you're hunting people, you're eating their flesh, you're sucking on their bones, you're just raping this person, what's wrong with you? Like, you have a sense that should be common sense in there somewhere, but it doesn't exist. So, when I seen that and heard that, it just reminds me of the world with cultivators out there. It's like, damn, man, you would think demons are a little outside and a little wacko. But no, man, people are really crazy. And they get obsessed with certain states that they get by demonic influence, whether it's their own doing or it's external demonic influences. And what happens is that they just go overboard. Really go overboard with things. And
yeah.
Okay, how much is overboard of stripping flesh from someone? Okay, yeah, demons do that. That's kind of overboard. No, not for a human. Yeah, for them, that's kind of like, okay, I'm going to go have lunch. But for humans, it's like, whoa, what's wrong with you, man? What's wrong with you? Don't do that. No, we don't do that. So really, going back here on keeping a checklist on what to not do or not go for in the cultivation world is things like this, okay? Spiritual abilities being the number one thing you need to look at, and screw everything else. No, that's a one-way route to busting your head against the wall and craziness.
Sounds like there's quite a party going on there.
Yeah. Another one is things of the nature of taking animals' energy, taking energy from plants or any living beings whatsoever for your own benefit. Another one is eating flesh of other animals for your own supposed cultivation means. Has nothing to do with, let's say you're a meat eater and you just eat meat and that's what you do, and you are You just like to eat meat. No, it's a little different because the intention here is a little different. People want to eat the raw meat because it brings them a certain type of state of energy into their body, whatever they think they're doing. Okay. And also another way is sexual activity. And this was a big no-no. You got to be careful for 100%. You know, this was big all in the earlier years before I was born, and then into the 80s with groups promoting sexual activity between the members. You know, saying they're cultivating a tantra, all because the teacher just wants to have sex with men, women, or both.
Yeah, I was taught by, well, sort of explained by a Taoist teacher. Like I questioned her about that, and she said that usually, she said there are such practices, but for the most part, the only people that they're intended for are, you know, really old men that sort of lack vigor, or really old women that, well, she used the term dried up spinsters.
Oh no!
And she
colorful.
said, you know, you're not doing it for the pleasure of it. You're trying to
Raise your energy level, probably.
Yeah, essentially, yeah, and
Okay.
it's very dangerous because, you know, the people could get attached to the action itself and not the outcome, right?
Look, how many people can do it without, wasting away their essence, without their orgasm? They can't. Not many. You know, who's ready to sit there and go, okay, I'm done. Okay, and wake up the next morning fully energized. See, that's the beneficial part of doing a type of practice like that, is not, we'll call it retaining, but not letting it go, not even getting the orgasm, just having the act itself and letting the natural course of the natural flow of that energy do its thing. If you're not doing the cultivation part of it, just letting it be the way it is, and you stop. You have your fun, you have your pleasure. You get a little tired, then relax and go to sleep. Wake up the next morning, even if, no matter how much you slept, you'll still be somewhat energized. If you're doing the cultivation aspect for it, there are ways to keep that energy revitalizing the organs. And if you're doing it for cultivation of a deeper practice, then you're going into the non-discriminating mind aspects of things. You're going into not attaching to the feelings. You've broken through the feelings, skanda. You've broken through your senses, and and you're doing this without the attachment of desire and lustful attachment for the body and all the other false notions we have about a physical body. That's a totally different realm of sex right there. If people think, oh, I'm going to go try that. Well, don't. If you don't have practice in meditation, and not just in meditation, like, oh, I practice meditating, bringing my energy to the crown, and let it swirl and swirl and swirl until I get the universal creamy oneness feeling. No. It's non-discriminative cultivation. It's cultivating Chan. It's investigating the mind and understanding what the hell you have grasping at your senses and what your senses grasp at.
Yeah, and a lot of these practices are what I guess you would call, well, deviant, for lack of a better term. But it's like a longer path. Is from my perspective, it's like, instead of going straight up the mountain, you're kind of going around the mountain in circles, right? It's like, and you're looking at the trees and the rocks.
And then you trip and you meet a hill and you think the hill is the mountain.
The direct path is not, it's not glamorous, but people just don't see that, right?
Exactly, and you got to really look at what the word deviant means. People say, oh, he said deviant, so he means it's immoral. No, deviant is anything that takes your essence away from you, your energy and your spirit. It lessens all of your vigor. It takes away your virtue, takes away your merit. What does that feel like? Having virtue and merit, what does that feel like? Think about having slept a nice full 8-hour sleep or a 12-hour sleep, and you wake up totally like bright-eyed and ready to hit everything you can, not angrily, just running around like you're the Energizer Bunny, basically going on and on and on. You don't have an ounce of fatigue at all. That's what it feels like to have full merit and virtue. Like you have this great charged up energy, this great battery that's charged up in your body, and your body is full and ready to go, and you're not feeling sleepy at all. You don't feel a tad bit starved. You just feel a little bit hungry, but you don't feel lack of energy. You just feel like you need to nourish the body, generally. That's having full virtue and merit. That's what it feels like to be cultivating virtue and merit. and not doing things deviant that take away from your virtue and merit, take away from your jing qi shen. You know, like you feel good today. Oh, I'm gonna go watch some porn. Oh, and then your eyes start to get tired, and then you get bags under your eyes, and then all of a sudden you get a little headache, and then you're wasting your energy. Oh, I'm going to go listen to some cool music, and I feel really good, and you start bopping your head to the music, and it starts really getting into you, and you start really getting taken by the music, and then, well, you wasted your energy dancing a little bit, and though you feel a little refreshed and, wow, nice and relaxed, actually that relaxed feeling is a wasting away of your energy. Anything that takes away from your focus, or anything that takes away from your center, takes you out of your center and creates more outflows, creates more karmic affliction, is taking away from your Jing Qi Shen, and we call that being deviant.
So what are some other practices or other things you have seen or you'd caution against?
Well, caution against propagating what you do in a very aggressive way. If you have people who are telling you you have to get followers, well, my father always told me, I don't want to be part of any group who wants me part of their group. Like, you know,
Yeah.
you want me as a member? Yeah, I don't want to be part of it. Sorry. Okay, it's like you're just looking for any old Joe Schmo off the street. And that's not good. You got people out here in the world who think that their practice is the best practice in the world. And if you don't pay attention to them, they argue with you that, well, you're being insensitive. I'm trying to tell you about this great practice that's being suppressed by such and such people in the world. And then you don't want to even bother listening to what we have to say. You have no compassion. And our school is all about compassion. Well, really, now you're trying to give me a guilt trip. That's not compassion. Okay? That's being greedy. You're greedy for attention. You want people to feel bad for you. Oh, well, so what? People don't like what you do and they try to suppress you, practice. Boo-hoo-hoo. Why don't you break free from that kind of cycle and kind of open up your wisdom? If it was so great and all great powerful stuff, you wouldn't need help from other people. Your principle itself should stop exactly what's going on. But it doesn't. You got people here in China now with a new sect called the Almighty Spirit or whatever it's called, just killed a woman because she didn't want to give her their phone number. Okay, now the people who are part of this group, I mean, you got to sit there and think, people, what's wrong with you? You got millions of people part of this group. The leader is somewhere in America or something claiming political asylum or something like that. I mean, he's complaining that the government is cracking down on his crew, on his group. But you know what? The group does stupid things like killing people who don't want to give them their phone number, robbing people who don't want to take their pamphlet, yelling at people who don't want to listen to what they have to say and who really don't care about some made-up group. Okay? So, and then they wonder why the government doesn't want people to practice things like that. There's a problem here.
To be fair, though, is that just a nut? You know, an isolated nut within the group. I mean, you know, should we blame the whole group for the actions of one or two people? Just to be fair, I don't know.
Well, it's a nice question. It's a very good question. Things like this have happened over many, many course of years, and there's been a full crackdown on groups like that in China. Only when their members go out and do stupid things like beating on people or disrupting society by sitting in the middle of the street meditating or sitting on the sidewalk because they feel like sitting there meditating, going to government offices and just saying, you know what, I just want to sit here on the government stoop and meditate. So it's really nice that you like meditating, but you know, really, it's not the right way to show people that you like to meditate. Because you can sit anywhere else you want in the middle of the street and meditate, blocking traffic, blocking people. No, I wouldn't do that just because that's ridiculous to do. You don't just sit in the middle of the street in the middle of Times Square. Oh, I'm just going to sit and meditate in the middle of the street. Okay, oh, a car hit me. Oh, they're not compassionate. They're ridiculous. They don't even pay attention to who's in the middle of the street. No, you can't say just because I'm a meditator, people have to make way for me. You have no merit and virtue to do that. And if you did, you wouldn't even be doing that. Making people pay attention to you is not the way. That is not the way. The way is to people not even to realize who the hell you are, that you even exist, but you make things happen for them. That is the right way.
Yeah, and I mean...
No, but go back to what you said. Should we prosecute the whole entire thing just because of a few morons? Well, you got to think, what is the education of this specific thing? Okay, what is the education of these specific groups, whether they're in China, whether they're in Europe or Russia or America, or whatever the case is? What is going on within their education? Meaning, what kind of books are they reading? What kind of philosophy are they going by? Is anything in their philosophy saying, this is what you should be doing? Or is it just people saying, hey, our supposed God is really wonderful, let's go and kill people because they don't believe in it? Well, didn't Catholicism do that? Didn't Christians do that?
I think probably throughout history, most religions have at some point, right?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. So, you know, I mean, you have the good and you have the bad, but when it comes down to people hiding away, then there's a problem with what you're doing. I mean, if the government says now, okay, all Buddhists must be killed, okay, what constitutes someone being a Buddhist? Having Buddhist prayer beads, having a picture of Guan Yin, okay, having a picture of the Buddha, Shakyamuni Buddha. Okay, so I just changed the word, Buddha to awakened. No, it looks like what you think it is, but it's really not that. Because in truth, there was no such thing as a Buddha. All of us, all original nature is Buddha. So, no, I'm not a Buddhist. If we're all Buddhas, there's no Buddha. So there's just unrealized Buddhas, and then there's Buddha. There's a realized Buddha. That's the difference. So, anyway, it can become very technical like this. So you got to just be careful of people and with the history. If you want to join, if a cultivator wants to join certain groups, check the history of what the hell they did in society. If they did anything terrible, if the leader is running around crying like he's being whipped, you know, with a paddle behind his butt, crying, "Oh my God, they're prosecuting me, they're suppressing me." Okay, what did you do to make people hate you?
Yeah, good point.
We got to think about that. I mean, if I'm being persecuted for talking things that make people eat healthier, respect each other, and the government says, no, we can't let you do that. You're causing a problem in society. People are being nice to each other. You can't do that. You're either going to be put in prison or you have to be deported. I'm like, you know what? I'll just be deported. And I'll go and I'll be like, okay, anyone who wants to go there, don't tell people to be nice. Just tell people to do whatever they want. Don't even bother telling people anything. And yeah, I could take political asylum in my country. Say, look, I was kicked out of China. Oh yeah, but I don't have to take political asylum because I'm already American. So I just go back home. And when asked, yeah, I told people to be nice, and the people there didn't like it, so I got kicked out of the country. Okay, I'd rather be that way than telling people to take up arms and start running around because they can't have their milk and cookies.
Yeah, and again, any group that's trying to get political is probably a bit of a red flag in and of itself.
Very much. Not that politics and spirituality can't mix, because basically you can be a good person and ask people to do good things, being in a position of quote-unquote social power, but most people take advantage of that and get taken by their external demons, as well as their own ignorance, greed, and arrogance and anger and whatever the case is. You want to go forward. We talked about dealing with sexual practices. Anyone promoting sexual practices generally for the states of certain things cultivation-wise, be careful. Really, be careful. You don't need to do that. You want all this great spiritual wisdom, meditate and investigate the mind. It's boring? Sure, because you have a discriminating mind that says this thing isn't something I am used to and I like. That's why things seem boring.
Do you think... I guess maybe some people just have to learn things the hard way, because, I mean, you can tell people this, you can show them this, you can take their nose and shove it in it and say, look, like, wake up and slap them, and sometimes they just don't want to hear it, right? So
you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make it drink. It's pretty much like that. There's a great stubbornness in the human mind. That their idea is once a person has made a decision, they're pretty much set on that idea, saying, oh, I made the decision, it must be a right decision. But you got to be careful. Just because people talk a good talk, it looks like they're walking the walk, it doesn't mean that they're actually exactly what you assume. I mean, I had followed a teacher who I wanted the person to be a really great, virtuous person. I wanted to believe the person can do that, because I like to give people the chance to be the better of themselves, or to be the better of what I assume, and the better of what I know their potential is. But it doesn't work out that way. And no matter how much you give a person an opportunity, excuse me, they're not going to take it for their best interest. and for other people's best interest. They're going to take it for their greedy interest. They're going to take it for their egotistical interest. And that's the problem in the world. When people just make an idea and they stick to it, it's hard to waver them. Master Shanghai used to said a phrase, and I'm trying to remember where I seen this in the Six Patriarchs Diamond Platform Sutra, I believe. In his commentary, one of the little sentences was true, true, false, 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 true, 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 false. You give people the false so much that they'll believe it's true, and you try to give people the truth so much they'll believe it's false. That's the confused mind does this. So we have to be very careful as cultivators.
Yeah, and really, from my perspective, the proper paths are, they're not glamorous, they're not showy, they're not flashy. Like, all of those things should put up a red flag for people.
You see a person with beautiful clothes, and then you see a person with shabby clothes and ripped up jeans talking some crazy wisdom, and you see the person with beautiful clothes talking some very Cambridge wisdom, very
eloquent,
very proper and eloquent. Eloquent speech and all that stuff. Don't go believing it just because the way they talk sounds convincing. I mean, people like to hear things that sound convincing. People like to hear eloquent speech, and when you have someone who can speak really good, you can fool the masses instantly. I mean, just look at our presidential elections.
Let's not get political now.
But that's a perfect idea of being taken by demonic cults. Republican, Democrat, and all these other parties around the world. I mean, really, it's like being told the same story out of two different people, and the way they're speaking just makes one aspect of that one story sound so cool, and the other person says it in a way that's not so cool. So people choose the one who speaks nicely, but they're still getting the same story. So we get that in cultivation. A person say, oh, you can experience all these wonderful bliss states, and you can experience all this wonderful great things, and you got to do this practice. And you do it, and you get the good feeling, but it doesn't amount to anything. It's all temporary.
Yeah, one other thing I've seen quite a bit is people get this view that true spirituality is in the hills of Tibet, or I can't find the Tao, or I can't achieve enlightenment, or I can't whatever unless I go to this specific spot, because the truth is in a cave in Tibet, or in a mountain in the Himalayas. What would you say to that?
They've really, really been taken for a fool. Just because these places catch your eye doesn't mean that only in those places you can get whatever you're assuming you need to get. It's just that you like the way those style is. It seems very exotic. It seems very out of the ordinary for you, and it kind of catches you. If I go there, I know I can put my potential there and really cultivate, because it fits your false discriminating mind about what you think spirituality should be. So it's still superficial thinking that allows a person to assume that they have to go somewhere 12,000 miles away just to get exactly what they feel when they're home in their own house, basically in their own country.
It strikes me as looking outside for something that you should be looking inside for.
Pretty much, it's very much like that. I get some people who give me an email and say, can we work together on some cultivation? I would say, sure. And they're like, well, when are you going to be around for, I can come out and meet you? I said, sure. Are you willing to come to China? I said, don't come to China. You don't need to. Let's just discuss on the emails, but you have to be extremely descriptive to me. Explain to me exactly what it is, the states you experience, what thoughts you're having, different changes in diet and sleep. I mean, you have to let me know, like you're giving me you're filling out an intake form in a doctor's office. I mean, you have to discuss with me what's going on. That's the only way you're going to cultivate it. It'll be as though I'm right there, but I'm actually not. And then I'm actually am. So you don't need to go around, especially in our modern times. We don't have to go traveling around the world to find a teacher. You just got to find someone willing to actually sit there and listen and cultivate, and who's willing to give you what it is you're looking for, and who's willing to let you give what you want. But if there's no teachers around in your cities, and you're like, well, I don't have a teacher, so I'm going to have to travel. Oh, well, then you just have to travel. But it doesn't mean that's the only place you can get what you're looking for, because you have to travel. So other people must travel too. No, that's false thinking.
All right. Well, maybe we should start to wrap it up. Do you have
Sure.
any closing thoughts?
Well, yeah. I think we spoke of this before. The demons, whether they're in their form or in human form, or just humans being crazy and nonsensical, they can study cultivation. They can study it pretty damn well, but their wisdom is flawed. It's poisoned by just a few or many false views, false notions. So their whole entire wisdom is poisoned wisdom. And when they're telling someone about the workings of the universe, and they're telling someone about this cause and this effect, and this spiritual power, and this specific time period, and whatever the case is, they can really tell the person exactly what it is. But when that person starts following, they'll start to get the wrong kind of understanding about the things that this demon is talking about, or this person is talking about. And it's in the 50 skandha demon states as well, where there's a demon overtaking another person's body, possessing another person's body, speaking the Dharma to make other people, or make the cultivator fall in his practice and believe in false notions. So remember, cultivators can come in many ways, shapes, and sizes, and they can cultivate. They can put on a robe and look like a Buddhist monk. They can put on a robe and look like a Taoist priest or priestess. Okay, they can look like anything you want them to look like. And they will teach you exactly what you want to know, but they'll do it in their own terms. That's why cultivation is very, not dangerous, it's very sensitive. And you have to stick by the rules. That's why there won't be any deviance. That's why there won't be any losing of your Jingqi, of your essence, energy, and spirit. If you follow the rules of keeping your essence, energy, and spirit intact. But people don't like to follow rules. They like to go with the flow and think that's being the natural way. No, that's just being ordinary. Going against the flow is not even being against the flow. You're realizing why the flow is that way, and you just, okay, I'm not doing that anymore. Okay, so that's the way you change. You want to cultivate, you totally go the opposite direction of where you're going and say, okay, what am I doing? Why are all these things coming and I can't even stop it? I can't even control it. You think control is the same way as a person controlling a certain mind, or controlling a person, or having things under their own specific will. No. Control is not being taken by things. You've got to change the way they understand words to be.
I just I thought of one more question I wanted to ask you. It kind of popped into my mind. What are your thoughts on schools that offer like the promise of secret teachings and secret initiations and so forth? Like sometimes they use it as sort of a carrot, right? Dangled in front of you.
Look, I have some people who ask me, what kind of practices do you do? What's the path you practice? And I really don't know how to answer, because it can be resembling of things that people don't really talk about, or people sell out there in the street to be with the secret school this and secret this, and exactly transmission teachings you can only get if you come to our class and whatever. No, it doesn't actually resemble that. It just is that the practices are very deep in depth. To me, it's very deep teaching. It means you really got to go deep and do some shoveling there and really dig out stuff. And it can become very almost like spiritually high, and you can feel like these different states, and you get a lot of things from it, but that's really dependent on the person. So when I hear these people selling like Qigong practices or meditation practices, and working with the mind or energy in this specific special method with these keywords, special or spiritual or transcendental or interdimensional or multidimensional or DNA enhancing and all this nonsense, it's just a big X that says no. When I started hearing this in my teens back in the mid-90s, I was sitting there going, what the hell is this? DNA activation, really? So these people have activated their DNA. All the garbage DNA they are now putting together. 12 strands of DNA reconnected. These people should be flying already. These people should be walking through walls. These people should be talking to each other telepathically and hearing it as clear as I'm talking right now. But no, it doesn't work. And they're charging people $300 for DNA charging upper thingies. What's going on here? But for those who don't know, they assume that these teachings are okay. These methods are okay. You know, and people say, oh, I feel so great and wonderful. Yeah, because you put everything into this person. You give to the person who's claiming they can do this for you. You have so much trust and so much faith in this thing that you have no clue about because you have the blind faith. And your mind itself will make the idea that you are feeling a certain thing because of this practice.
Yeah,
You know?
I guess at the end of the day, maybe we should just say beware of marketing.
Yeah. I mean, you give stuff for free and say this is going to help you if you do this. Let's say it's reciting the Buddha's name and you do this bowing practice. Bowing? What the hell you need bowing for? What the hell is that? That's why we did a talk on bowing a few weeks ago. Bowing, you know? Like, what's up with that? You know, what the hell or whatever. People don't want to hear bowing. They don't want to put themselves lower than anyone else. They think it's putting themselves lower, but it's total misconception. The whole notion of bowing is totally flipped up and flipped out and inside out and everywhere. And then forget about reciting the Buddha's name. They're like, what the hell I got to do this for? Forget about looking at a sutra. They don't want to be told something they assume is dogma because they heard it in some guy or some person who decided to write a book on what they thought Buddhism or Taoism or whatever ism was all about. And they call it dogma because thousands of years later people are still practicing it and they have their own religious methods to it and it's just the way it is for them. And now it's dogma because one guy decides it's dogma and now a whole bunch of other people jump on the dogma bandwagon and want to run around free naked with leaves in their hair thinking that, okay, this is the right way and the natural way to do things. Okay, sure. When that stage is over and you get out of that little kindergarten school of spirituality, sure, great, okay. You realize, no, it's not about putting flowers in your hair, running around naked, dancing around, whatever. It's really not about that. But if it makes you feel good once in a while, go ahead. It's really nice to run around free, naked in the street. Okay, good, no problem. Do it, go home. Just don't get arrested. But the idea really is that should not be the foundational method of your practice. If you just want to go out and freak the hell out of people going, hey, I'm going to run around naked real quick and just scream and be like, yeah, okay. That sounds really funny. That would be really funny. Probably very liberating, too, for the heart and the ego. And then right back in the house and, it never happened.
All right, well, I think we covered a fair bit of ground. I mean, people hopefully get the general idea.
Also, if a teacher just turns around and says you have to believe in what they say and they have the right way, keyword, my way is the right way, or the way I've taught was the right way, careful, be very careful.
Red flag.
Red flag if you hear a teacher saying you have to take refuge with me, you have to become my sole disciple in order to get everything. It's a little weird. Taking refuge with one teacher, taking refuge with the teacher and then taking refuge with the Buddha, Dharma, and the Sangha. When you say someone takes refuge with Master Xuanhua, or takes refuge with Master Jinkong, or takes refuge with other masters and other Buddhist teachers and venerable masters out there, the venerable master knows that they are the middle person, the middle ground, and that who the student really is adhering to is the Buddha's teachings, not the venerable master's teachings. Oh, I say this, and the Buddha didn't say this because, the Buddha was then, and now I'm in the more modern time, so I know what's going on, and I'll just translate the Buddha's teachings into this specific way. Better for people to hear it this way than hear it the way the Buddha said. So he'll just change the whole entire method of teaching just to fit other people's mind, which people will say that's a nice expedient, but no, because he's going to change the actual core principle to fit his own idea so people can praise him and think he's a great, wonderful being. No, venerable teachers, venerable masters, they don't do that. They know that their explanation or their method is just an explanation, and they're going to try their best to get people to understand the Buddhist teachings. But it's always referred back to the core teachings. Okay? I'm just giving you a little commentary. It's not totally take all of your essence, energy, and spirit and give it to me and then give it to the three treasures. No. They would never say that. So be careful. Be careful out there when you look for a teacher. Really.
All right. Well, thanks again, Lynn, and
Fun.
thanks for everybody to listening. Or blah 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 blah.
Nice.
Thank you everybody for listening. It's Lynn Away on Diamond Radio. Please be sure to join us next week as we discuss.
Blah 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 blah. Okay, goodbye.
Blah, blah. I think we're gonna talk about left home cultivators, what that means.
Ooh, yeah.
All that jazz.
Nice.
And
Okay.
I will leave us with a quote, as I always do, and I like to annoy you by seeing if you know who said it. Never do. All right.
I only got it right once.
Here it is. Advance and never halt, for advancing is perfection. Advance and do not fear the thorns in the path, for they draw only corrupt blood. Any
Is
guesses?
that from the Dhammapada?
Nope.
Okay. See, I told you I'll always be wrong.
Good guess, though. Khalil Gibran.
Very
He's a
cool.
Sufi writer.
Uh-huh.
Anyhow,
Fun.
we will see you next week, Lynn.
Peace out.